That was awesome. I think that's the first time I've ever heard you acknowledge that you threw a little temper tantrum. This is a really good day.
Welcome to Real Talk with Michael and Lisa.
You all seem to like it when we get pretty real and pretty vulnerable, so we're just going to share a little.
We have got a treat for you today.
Yeah, we're going to talk about handling family business. How do you take care of family business?
What do you mean by family business?
I mean the emotional stuff that you have to process either as a couple or a family that's uncomfortable. And if you don't, it just builds up until you can't hardly breathe. I'm talking about that stuff.
So to start all this, today I was an hour and, how late was I?
About 25 minutes late.
I was an hour and 25 minutes late to this recording session. So originally we were going to be talking about this.
This is how we get our topics. Real life happens.
I was an hour and 25 minutes late. And so it created an incredible opportunity for some real talk.
And for some valuable feedback.
I think the feedback came first. And it was precious afterwards.
Precious.
It was in the moment. So yeah, I got to own. And here's one thing that I got to own that mistake. Actually, I came in and owned it. And one thing that's really important to realize is you rarely receive, I made a big mistake. And it was actually the second time that I've been late for something important like this.
Because now it's not just him and I. We now have a creative media director, and so she's impacted by our choices as well.
Yeah, and so when you make a big mistake and a duplicate mistake that's big, then you get feedback. But here's what I want you to first I need to prepare you. When you make a big mistake and you get feedback, it rarely comes in one packet. It usually ends up in a feedback train.
And usually our feedback isn't packaged neat, tidy, and unemotional. There's usually a little blame in there. There's usually there could be a couple daggers of pain in there as well.
She didn't admit that a little bit ago when she was throwing some of them, but you know.
The truth
that's why we turn the camera on, so we can, apparently for some unknown reason, we get really honest when the camera's rolling. God, thank you.
I thought about turning on the camera earlier so y'all just could have been a part of it. I don't know that we're quite there yet, so at least we're doing pretty good. This is pretty real time, so guess what? We're doing family business with y'all too. We're taking care of family business with y'all. We're inviting you into our process. Like, we just had this conversation, but it's super valuable to process, because what happens if you don't? Typically, it builds up.
Well, today happens if you don't. Like, I know we just processed for an hour and a half, 2 hours. There was a lot that we processed that was going back even a month or so. And that lets us know, we are pretty good at processing stuff, but we failed on a lot of little things over the last couple months.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean we're failures. Today is a moment of awareness. We need to be intentional, just to check in and say, hey, are there any little details?
Yeah, and then to ask ourselves, why are we not sharing? And I understand we want to keep the peace. We don't want to trigger the other person. We might not feel like we have the emotional capacity to even bring up stuff. But the reality is, in most marriages, there is a lot that gets unprocessed, and it's not healthy. It begins to get toxic. Some of it can kind of rot and start to stink, and then you don't want to touch it. And it's not any more fun later. It just builds.
Yeah, so the truth is, like, a lot of the stuff that we talked about this morning, it was small stuff.
Pretty low stakes.
Like, I felt like, oh, well, this little thing, we should have done this instead of this, and that instead of that, and I might have been right or I might have been wrong, but I didn't express it clearly, or I just absorbed it. I waited until there were 10 of those things, and then I got a little frustrated a few weeks ago. And then today we got to talk about it a whole lot more. And
oh, but you know what's better about today?
What?
Is that we didn't just get to process it. We got to process it with our creative media director. And you know what happens when you process with a third party? Even though she was part of the conversation, somehow the spirit of stupid kind of just leaves. And when we process stuff together, we can get, our emotions can go higher.
Wait, who says I ever do that?
Like, we actually have to be more honest when we're bringing somebody else into our process. And that's healthy. That's actually good. That's what we do for people as coaches. We actually get to help couples process stuff.
So just letting you know, we do it too. Actually, Baylin, she could let you know that we really do it too. I don't know if she's willing to chime in here or not.
Yeah, but so we took care of some family business today, and it was healthy and it's slightly uncomfortable. But one thing I want to remind you of is that intimacy is always on the other side of healthy conflict resolution. It's scary and uncomfortable, but it's worth it. It's so worth it.
Something, I mean, just briefly, like, we played a game last night called
Solar
Quest.
From 1986. It's vintage.
And it's like Monopoly, except with a few other layers of detail that all interact together to take you out or help you succeed. And I've discovered I can be relational with people, or I can focus on the details of the game. But when I'm relational, all the other stuff in my life just kind of skips off and goes somewhere else. And so I'm either going to play for a few minutes and lose, but have a great time relating to everyone, or I'm going to focus on winning so that I can at least be competitive and the other people feel like they're playing a game against me. And I said all that really well right now, but yesterday I didn't have those words, and I didn't have that understanding even about myself. And they asked if we can play, and I just had this feeling of, I don't really like playing that game. But I wanted to be with everyone, so I said yes. And Baylin even pointed out I had some reservations in my commitment to play the game. And we started playing, and at first there was a lot of forgiveness on the rules, and okay, I know you meant to do that, so you can do that. But then the rules stepped in, and you know what? Lisa was the one that said, okay, we need to play by the rules, and that's why the rules are there, so you can play by them. So anyway, Lisa just established, hey, we need some rules in this game. You don't get to do that anymore. And I threw a temper tantrum. I had a little fit, like, I can't have fun anymore. And I did, I threw a fit, and people didn't like it, and they felt really uncomfortable. And I sat there for a minute to process, and then that's where I realized, oh wow, this is why I don't enjoy the game. And I realized, okay, well, I want to step out so I can enjoy being with you guys. Except I didn't process the offense part earlier. So today, after it marinated and stewed for 12 hours or so, I got to process it today. Yeah, it's always good to do it yesterday, but today is better than tomorrow. Okay?
That was awesome. I think that's the first time I've ever heard you acknowledge that you threw a little temper tantrum. This is a really good day. Like, that's awesome. I know you're human now. This is awesome. I love this. I'm just going to treasure this for a moment. Hold on. Because I have them all the time and I do acknowledge them. So this is the first time he's ever acknowledged it. So thank you, Lord.
But it's possible this is the first temper tantrum I've ever thrown.
It is. And it's possible it's the last. I mean, it could totally be the last time he's ever triggered, that this ever happens. But this was Oh, this is breakthrough, guys. We are receiving breakthrough. Thank you for being there for us so that we can process and we can be really real with ourselves. This is awesome.
Are you gloating?
No,
or are you celebrating?
I'm celebrating your breakthrough, your emotional breakthrough. Well,
so, guys, this is really important. Be humble, men, be humble. Invite these moments when you make mistakes, own them, and apologize for them, and let your wife celebrate if she needs to over your failure, because you know what? It probably isn't the only time it's happened.
And you know what I also
and
love?
Own it.
You know what I also love about this moment is in my first marriage, we didn't ever do conflict resolution well. And we never got to the point that we could laugh about it. Oh, this feels good. We actually
I'm just laughing on the outside.
Inside you're crying little crocodile tears.
Yeah.
But I do love that we're able to resolve and get to a point that we're able to laugh. And so are you. So we just encourage you, take care of your family business. Process your conflicts more in real time. We encourage you to do it. It's worth it. It's so worth it.
Yeah, even schedule time. I know we do somewhat regular tub talks, but
tub talks.
If you're married, that works well. If you're not married, that's not a great location.
Get in a hot bath, relax, and talk about deep, meaningful things.
Yep. So anyway, we love you guys. Be intentional about keeping up with the little tiny details that don't seem to matter. They do, they build up, they're important. And men, be humble, and if you've screwed up, own it. She'll be so grateful. Might even turn into good sex later if you're married.
Well, on that note, have a great week.
She's smiling, so there's chance. You're telling me there's a chance.
There's still a chance.